Well, good morning, everybody. As I sometimes have to do, I just want to start off with a quick apology. I was messing around with our server the last couple of days, but we're building something new for everybody, and I'm beyond pumped about the way you're going to be able to visualize all of this weather data very soon. It's going to be more mobile friendly. It's going to be faster. It's going to be awesome. It's the way we're going to incorporate all these new models. I just need a more efficient system to do that. And so I was just beaten up on the server and knocked it offline. So if you were on agweather.com trying to get a local forecast in the last couple of days and you've noticed the API service was down, it's my fault. And I got it back on. It's steady now. I'm going to figure out a better way to mess with it later. Anyway, we got too much to kind of get into with this pattern here as we try to finish up this year and get through some of the holidays. And I want to start off with just the rapid temperature changes. That's what we've been staring at. Sorry about all that. But you've got here a 30 to 40 degree swing in temperatures, and it's very temporary. We're going to watch these temperatures, which look this morning, just have raced through the Midwest, upper Midwest, dropping temperatures 30 to 40 degrees over where they were. There's a rebound that's going to happen on the back side of this. That's going to be bringing temperatures immediately back up into the 60s and 70s here in the plains. Now, we're going to continue to deal with these absolutely terrible winds. As Matt pointed out the other day, gusts that were over 100 miles an hour in very hyperlocal areas, almost all related to mountain topography. But we have extreme fire threat in through here today again, and we're just going to be concerned about how these winds are going to play out. Now, the strongest winds with the first system are moving east, and the front is trying to clear the east coast this morning that ripped through the midsection of the United States, allowing this colder air to come into place. But nothing is settled with respect to temperatures anytime soon other than just these flashes of pretty exceptional warmth in the midsection of the United States that are going to be returning here very, very soon. You can see why. This is the look at the winds this morning. So behind system number one, just very strong winds coming across the Great Lakes. And there's a little area in between where there's a calming. They were not calm where we are here in the Snodgrass house in Illinois last night. I'm not sure my wife slept last night. It was just so much wind outside. But on the next system, look at this. We have low pressure trying to develop up in Ontario, coming out of Alberta into Saskatchewan and over toward Manitoba. And southerly winds have already kind of found their way back into this pattern. And so it's another day of extreme winds across parts of the country, fire risk. We're just going to have to keep a close eye on it. But I just want to tell you, this is the forecast high temperatures for today. So, I mean, you saw where we're going to start the day. All right, here's where we're going to finish the day. So yes, we're still locked into cold here, and these warmer temperatures may be right now, and they're going to get knocked down very, very quickly. But just look at this, 74 in Amarillo. I mean, we're going to be well into the 60s into South Dakota, and then we're going to watch the pattern. Look at this, just another shot of cold air coming across the northern tier of the country. I'm very cold right in through here, but the warm-ups are just, I mean, they're just amazing, honestly, when I see them happen. Here's Monday, December 22nd. Here's the 23rd. Very mild air. Here's the 24th. That's Christmas Eve. 67 in St. Louis. And then as we get out there, this is Christmas Day, just to kind of give you a look at what the current National Digital Forecast Database is calling for in this pattern. So, yeah, what a wild ride. The midsection of the United States is on, going toward the east with this warmth as we approach Christmas, and we're going to look at the longevity of that here in just a few moments. So I mentioned the fronts that were moving to the east, and here's just a quick look at, it's very well defined. I mean, you can't miss the leading front and then the secondary one behind it. But this is pushing through the northeast early this morning. And then as we've witnessed for the last several days, just nonstop onshore flow in parts of the Pacific Northwest. It just all depends on where the main, bit of that flow is concentrated, which started off in Oregon last night, coming across parts of the Columbia River, and then it's sinking its way down, which is something we've been talking about happening here into parts of California as we work our way into this weekend. Now, over the last 72 hours, it's just to point out something here. This has been our little snow event here. I say little. We've had some huge snows in places. But outside of that, I would say the models over-predicted rains here and under-predicted there in the last 72 hours. But there's one major reality in this pattern, and that is a broad section of the middle part of the country has not seen moisture, not just recently, but going back quite some time. To focus a bit more on the Pacific Northwest, I want to take you back over the last 14 days so you can see just how wet it's been here. We'll zoom in a second, but just in contrast from parts of Southern California, Nevada, Four Corners states, all the way into the plains, just a void of moisture returning to those areas, and we're looking for that southwest flow to revive it. And I haven't seen the models give indications of that due to these big blocks that are in parts of Europe and in the North Pacific. But just have a look here. zooming in, and by the way, this is going to be the cool thing about my new site. You'll be able to just pan and zoom and see everything. It's going to be, I can't wait to send it to you all. But anyways, you can just see here how wet things have been. And this is prompting this at places historic flooding, which we've been kind of sharing with you over the last 10 days or so. Now, we have had some big snows out of this. If you just take a look at the most recent snow, so there's some that came over parts of the Red River Valley of the North, but Northern Cascades, parts of the Northern Rockies have been adding it up quite a bit. And if you look at the basin average snow water content up to this point in the year, those are the areas here and here that have seen some improvements. So if I just take this back, let's go back to December 1. You can see there it is. We were in pretty significant deficits in this area. And then as I pop that forward again to December, it should have date up to the 18th. There we go. We have seen some improvement. So that's just something to watch. We're going to keep paying attention to this map as we go forward in time. All right, I want to come back, though, to this dryness because the last 2 weeks isn't the extent of it. It's gone back much farther than that in places. But the contrast is what I wanted to highlight here. I would say that even though moisture's come through parts of the Gulf Coast, there is still significant risk of drought in this region. And then the interior has been quite dry. And we've had access to some pretty chilly air, too, which has been drier under higher pressure into the southeast. And we've got another frost risk down here coming soon. But you can see the Clipper track. Now, I wish the map extended into Canada, but it doesn't. But you would be able to watch this little area in through here just repeatedly get hit. But I want to put a point on month-to-date precip and show you that significant parts of Kansas, Oklahoma, Texas, Arkansas, and then getting into western Kentucky, Tennessee, Missouri, southern Illinois, extremely dry compared to historical averages. In fact, the deepest shades here, this color, represent the driest start to any December since 1893. And this has been an area, and you think back to the summer here, this area is flooded out in spring, okay, so April, May. We then got into a very hot summer, got extremely dry, August and September, and then we didn't see any moisture from hurricanes coming through this area. And then now we're here at the end of the season, and they've gone back over extremely dry again. So looking at an annual precipitation statistic here is not going to be helpful because the flooding in spring will wash out the drought at the end of the season, but understanding the volatility is critical. Check out the northern plains, Montana. I mean, we've hit this area hard this month with respect to precipitation. But again, I make the comment, climate reporting districts are huge. There has been a rain shadow effect, which is what is creating those strong winds, by the way, in parts of Montana as well. So that's not to ignore other places around the country. Just wanted to find these two big spots and just think through them. Now, back at the beginning, this was just a week ago. Yeah, a week ago on like the 12th. This is what our soil moisture looked like down to 16 inches. So this is a percentile, so think of it as a rank rather than an amount. But if you look now, this is what the map looks like. Now, why am I kind of highlighting this is because I'm watching this area through here where we've made a big deal about the snowmelt and what it could do. And so back on the 12th, we weren't getting that moisture down. But if you look at the newest, see the improvements in through here? Now, not down south here, but right in through this area, major improvements. I think that's just a critical thing to look at. Overall, I'm a bit, when I look at the drought monitor, I get a bit confused at times, but I don't make the drought monitor. There's a bunch of people smarter than I am that do this, and I appreciate their work. But I always question, I just showed you how bone dry this area has been. We've been watching problems with this area in fall, and it's just based on the metrics they use, it must take more than this to ratchet up those areas. And in the Pacific Northwest, we've seen historic flooding. So I imagine there's going to continue to be changes to this as time goes on. And that is, and I'll be honest with you, I do not know the full algorithm that goes into this or the decision by the people that contribute it. I don't know what weighs on their consciences they give it. I think it's a great product. Don't get me wrong there at all. I actually think it's a phenomenal product we have. And what's beautiful about it is it updates every week. We cannot complain. These are great people that work on this. It's fine though to look at it and go, hey, wonder why, right? That's okay. But what I do want to show you though, and this was just updated recently, is the new outlook. So let me zoom out on this so you can see it. This was released on the 18th, and it's showing now the seasonal drought outlook all the way through March 31st. And the Climate Prediction Center, NOAA, have kind of gone back over into that typical La Nina worry point. And that is where you tend to have dryness from parts of the Sun Belt through the Cotton Belt all the way to the southeast. We tend to have a very active Ohio River Valley, Missouri Valley, Mississippi Valley storm track, and systems like to hit the northwest as they're doing right now. So when you look at this, let me just take this off and have a look at these colors so that you can get a good idea on maybe what the Climate Prediction Center through NOAA is concerned about going forward with who's going to see more drought develop and who's going to see it taken away. I think this is another great product that's produced here. Okay, back to what's going on right now. We have the extreme winds moving east from system number 1. We have the powerful winds from system number 2 coming through, winter weather advisories north, red flag warnings that come off of parts of Wyoming into Nebraska, Colorado, and we're just going to be dealing with more flooding in the northwest because there's no slowing down of that in the near term, and we just better get in and have a quick look at it in the models. I wanted to start off with the winds just because this is, I think, our most immediate threat for some folks, and playing this through the rest of the day today, getting into tonight, picking it up early Saturday morning and working our way. Let's just go all the way to the end of the run. This is cumulative wind gusts from the 6Z NAM. And so one system exiting, one developing here. And again, we've got these 70, 80 mile an hour gusts possibly hitting parts, just very, very local wind systems here driven by topography. But stronger winds in Kansas, northern Texas. You actually saw the wind advisories down here too. Some blowing toward the Red River Valley of the north and then also back into central Oregon. Very, very strong winds continue to be accompanying this massive ridge that's trying to open up repeatedly in the middle part of the United States. The Storm Prediction Center, though, has put out an extreme risk right in through here. And I couldn't see it because of cloud cover the other day, but I've been paying attention to the risk of some fires in this area. Where I did see some interesting stuff was in the middle part of the country. Let me take you back. So it looks like in Kansas there was a fire right here, getting blown on some strong winds out of the northwest. But then I noticed at the end of this, can you kind of see it with me here? See this haze that's right in through here? What I'm curious about is if that's all just dust getting blown through there. Now this is high thin cloud, but I'm curious if, can you see what I'm talking about right in through there? I don't know. We'll just have to watch it. I did pull up the newest forecast for the next 48 hours of vertically integrated smoke just to look to see where they're modeling the risk of some of this smoke. And again, we're going to watch here very carefully. Now your eye might be drawn down here into the southeast. There are controlled burns that happen this time of year, and I think that's what the model is attempting to pick up on. But this is just maybe where we have some wildfire threat in the near term. So again, most stressing right into this particular corridor here. All right. Okay, let's go ahead and run the high-res NAM, just picking it up 6 a.m. Friday and just playing forward. So some lake effect on the backside. Clipper goes right in through this area. That's going to bring this chance of snow. That's going to come right over parts of the Red River Valley and then just constant here. Now, as we play into the rest of the afternoon on Friday, getting into early Saturday morning there, some snow through the UP, maybe some snow to Wisconsin, Michigan, as that clipper goes through parts of Ontario. But then, we just have our next big push into Northern California throughout the day on Saturday, getting to Saturday evening. And I just play this all the way out till Sunday about noon, and that's how things are shaping up. So again, another wild swing in temperatures here behind this. That's your next high pressure cell, but it's going to rocket right back up very, very quickly. The pattern is just here, and we've talked about this all week. Okay, there is one omega block. There is a second kind of omega block. You could even say maybe there's a third. That's just a lot of what we call circumglobal ridging. Just big ones. 1, 2, and then this is 3. So kind of see how it goes off the map. And the problem with this, Matt illustrated it yesterday, is that big, large ridges, long Rossby waves, just get stuck. They don't move with the westerly flow of the atmosphere. They tend to retrograde against it. And it's all about the advection of planetary vorticity, if you're curious why it does that. But the net effect of this is that we may be stuck in a pattern like this to finish this year and even start a little bit of January. Something similar to this. We do not see strong zonal flow except right in through, well, not even there. It's maybe here through Russia. And that's about it. So the end result is over the next 7 days, in fact, this should have updated. There we go. That's a new 12Z run. Northern California, the Sierra Nevada are going to absolutely get hammered with snow here, and they need every inch of what's coming. Then you see the effect of the rain shadow just opening up broader into the midsection of the country. No major systems are going to come through on southwest flow. I just don't see any as we try to finish this year. This map goes all the way through Friday, by the way, next Friday, December 26th. And so we have some moisture in the northeast, Ontario, Quebec. Not a whole lot else going on here with this particular setup. Snow-wise, this is just a look at the European. In fact, I'm just going to take this all the way out. Let's go all the way out 10 days. 39. There we go. Man, my new mapping system, this will be so fast. I can't wait to show it to you. But here, Ontario, Quebec, just hammered. Look at this path right through the Canadian prairie. And then it's just the Western Mountains. And they're going to add quite a bit. And again, critical to the water year happening. Let's get in and look at some of the details. GFS left, European right. So we're going to play out the first system, which we've seen. We watched the Clipper go through Manitoba and Ontario, then over the Great Lakes, the constant flow into the northwest. But you're just going to have to watch the west. That's going to be where the action is. You see just deeper lows coming through here. I will point out that on December 23rd, there is a high-pressure cell setting off the coast. We could open up some moisture into this area, and it could be cold enough on the northern side with a low that's going right through here to bring us some snows to the interior of the northeast. And again, this could just be very aware of what could be getting over here into parts of the, from Boston to New Jersey, New York, Newark, this area for snow, and then deeper into the upstate parts of each of these states. But watch the low that comes into Northern California by Wednesday, December 24th. And we can play it out. Let's just get right into Christmas. So here we go. That's 6 p.m. on December 24th. That is December 25th, midnight. So Santa, this is it. But you have to deal with a big system in the west. I think you're used to it, but just be prepared, okay? This is now 6 a.m. This would be noon on Christmas. So there is the chance for some light rain showers in both models here. Deep, deep low off the coast. So we get into the evening. That's 6 p.m. And there we go. That's kind of your Christmas forecast. And as you can imagine, extremely warm in the middle. All right, let's keep going. I don't want to ignore. Okay. I remember Matt talked about that Boxing Day storm system in the northeast. That's what I'm looking at. Seems to have pushed farther to the north in the current model runs. And we expect that. It's 186 hours out in the forecast. This is not good to look at. We're way too far out here to make any sense of this. And I've been watching it carefully. I don't think that the pattern really will have the ability to do what you see here right now. So let's go look at some other things. This is the snowfall forecast. Snow depth forecast we've looked at so much. And with the warmth that's coming through, plus the trough dipping into the west watch. This is Sunday the 21st. Oh man, I'm excited. We'll be bottoming out on our lack of sunshine at that point and start to regain hours. But take a look again. I focused a lot here, I know, but I'm watching the snow melt in the Midwest. And on Christmas Day, look at that retreat into Minnesota, Wisconsin. And I'm sorry about that. I was actually in Wisconsin the last couple of days. I was talking to some growers down here in Belmont, and they're like, we love it for our farms. We hate it for our recreation. I get it. And man, do farmers need time to do recreation. But you notice as we go toward Christmas, those big systems out here in the west. Look at the snow getting added up in the western mountains. Amazing. If I just played on out, that's what we have all the way to January 3rd in terms of snow depth. All right, just got to keep an eye on how much warmth is in the middle part of the country. With the warmth also comes, a lot of dryness. 10-day out, looking at the chance of staying under 1/10 of an inch. It's very high from Mexico through Texas, New Mexico, all the way through the plains, getting through the Missouri, and even as far north as the Red River Valley of the North. This is just a lot of very, very dry conditions in this area and also in pockets of the southeast. Probability of under a 1/2 inch is even more expansive. All right, now who's wet in this pattern? I think you know. It's going to be the northeast and the northwest, but more of California is getting included in this. Probability of 1 inch in the next 10 days. That's probability of 2 inches. Here's 4 inches of liquid equivalent. 8. So look at what's coming into parts of Northern California. So after remember I showed you the maps earlier, being so dry since the shutoff of the November moisture, we are now just pulling it all back into this region. It's going to be nonstop, probably to finish the year. You're going to have very, very limited time period where you're not dealing with this. Next, though, I do want to show you I think why the pattern's getting messed up. This is Matt mentioned yesterday, the new GFS. It's actually the GFS Ensemble, Artificial Intelligence. I love this. I'm so happy we're doing this. I see 1, 2, 3. I'm going to call this a 3-wave pattern. And that means just 3 big ridges are keeping everything blocked up. Bering Sea, Central U.S., Scandinavia, Northern Europe overall. And what I think the European model, the GFS Artificial Intelligence Ensemble, I got to get used to saying that, is doing is, look, I'm now all the way out I don't know, 29th, then what do you have? 1, 2, and 3. And even going out there to finish 2025 and start 2026, is that really different? That's a 306-hour forecast. And as a result, if we are stuck in this, it may take something pretty big in early January to wash it out. Now, why not play it all the way out there? I don't care. I still have this feature. In fact, compared to yesterday, remember how Matt kind of showed you it going up and down? It's not even doing that anymore. It's actually reinforced the trough here. I still think we could get back into clipper mode. But if you're in the West Coast, this is your key. See that? High over low, block, downstream flow. This is great. Now, it's great for Northern California through Oregon, Washington, British Columbia. But it's not El Nino would just, you wouldn't have this at all. You would just have racing flow coming across like this. So just something a little bit different to talk about there. But that is why when we look out there and we see, well, how does the week 2 forecast shape up? Well, I don't have this on my site yet. But all the way up to January 2nd, we're still wet west and we're dry in the south and east. And that matches up pretty well with the models I currently have on the site. Oh, there they are. Temperatures, just to review this again. There's the next 5 days. Here's day 5 through 10. So Christmas is, of course, tucked in there. And then watch, day 10 through 15. Is there really much of a change in anything? I don't see it. And that kind of seems to be where we are, right? So we start looking for a few things and trying to figure out where the atmosphere's lost it. And I'm going over to show you a Havmuller diagram. Matt and I love these. All meteorologists love these things. They're fantastic, but I understand they're a pain in the butt for somebody who doesn't care or doesn't study weather to look at. So here's today going all the way through, look at this, February 1st. And this is maybe the only signal I see. That's a phase 6 MJO. But it is so weakly into phase 6. I don't know that I should be showing it or making this deal out of it. But I can tell you this. If it's early January and you're in phase 6, you have a trough here and a big ridge in the Bering Sea. And what do you get out of it? Flow into the northwest. And that's backwards. That's anomalous flow, but this is what keeps the south so dry, keeps the plains dry, keeps the midsection of the country mild. That's just maybe what we're getting. Maybe we're getting this kind of phantom phase 6 look in the atmosphere right now. But what it does reinforce is just this. Now, I love this. There's the trough that developed up the west coast. See it continuing in the forecast all the way through January 12th. That's how far out we are. So this right here is the ridge that's over the central United States to the east. So that red lines up here, and the blues are over here. And there's our pattern. So it's just ridge Bering Sea, trough western United States, ridge central and eastern United States, trough just off the northeast coast, ridge into the North Atlantic. See it? And that wave is where we tend to sit for quite some time in the models. And I think that's why the New European outlook from Christmas all the way to January 25th just doesn't break away from it. And that's what it has in terms of precipitation. So we have to just sit in this until something comes along and kicks it out. And that could happen. It happens all the time. But maybe this pattern we're in now has got 20 to 25 days of life in it. All right, what could knock it out? Well, let's go have a look at what the Climate Prediction Center is talking about. They've released their new drought outlook. That means they also updated all of their longer range forecasts. And I'll just tell you something. Their longer range forecast, in my opinion, just reflect there's a La Nina. They're using this as their most dominant signal, and there's no reason for them not to. Now, we know that La Nina, or we've been talking about, La Nina hit its stride in November, backed off a bit in early December, then came back on right now. But we think it's kind of in its last throes at its greatest strength. It's going to fade quickly into January. But the Climate Prediction Center's got a January outlook, which is very wet in the northwest and wet in the Ohio Valley. That's La Nina to the T, and drier farther to the south. That's exactly what you would draw if you're going to say it's La Nina of January. But they also updated the 3-month outlook. That is the December-January forecast. Oh, they didn't. Why didn't they update this yet? Hang on, let me refresh this. Why isn't that new? Yeah, they still... Oh, no, there it is. Whew, I just did a refresh. This is their new January, February, March outlook. It looks exactly the same. And again, if you just looked at a correlation map with temperature and precipitation, said it's La Nina, there you go. That's what you get. What I'm curious about is we can now go into their 3-month outlook and go beyond this. You just saw their winter. Let's go and look at spring. Now, this is interesting to me. And it's interesting because, excuse me, when we look back at years where La Nina fades fast in spring, we are not wetter here. I don't know, I'm just making a point. We tended to be a bit drier. In fact, the last time we did this was 2023. That's a little different scenario, but it was bone dry here once we got into month of May. So maybe I'm a little early. This is March, April, May. Let's just go May, June, July. And now they're going drier northwest, wetter southeast. I don't know. I don't think they know either. I think they would agree that like, hey, this signal is not a clear one to us just yet. But I just had to look at it. We can go back to that January, February, March, and again, that's that La Nina look. All right. And if we do the I'm going to do the other one here. There we go. That's the temperature outlook for January, February, March. So worthwhile to look at, but I think it's very La Nina-esque. And by the way, I need to be very transparent with this. I'm showing their stuff and being a little critical of it. I mean, I'm just talking about differences. Did you see mine? No, because I cannot figure out exactly when this pattern breaks down and changes things up for the rest of January. So I need to be pointing the finger at me too, going, well, Snodgrass, where's your line drawn in the sand? I'm like, I'm not sure. So I'm using their stuff, and just to their credit, these are a bunch of brilliant scientists that are working on this. All right. So I can finish up with one last thing I just need to point out here. In the last 7 days of precip in Brazil, again, we've talked about this all week. These are good rains across a lot of growing areas in Brazil. The models are doing this over the next 2 weeks. And this will only be a story if it continues beyond the next 2 weeks, the dryness in the east. Very, very wet, northern Argentina. So this is going to fill up, like the Parna River, for example. But we're drier down maybe toward, Buenos Aires, southern growing areas in Argentina. Why I say this is only going to be stories because what did we see? All of the forecasts, the long-range forecasts were like, nope, this was going to be super wet, nonstop super wet from all the subseasonal models. And they just got it wrong. They just got it wrong. It's not there. That's why I'm not trusting these subseasonal models across South America at all. I do want to tell you, though, that the 14-day forecast is echoed in the GFS. So you do see the dryness here, wetter in northern Argentina down to Rio Grande do Sul. So there are some similarities there. Just to point something out, though, key states to monitor are like Mato Grosso. And that's not too much of an anomaly to be worried about. So maybe Goiás is having the hardest time this year. I think that would be where the narrative is. All right, listen, you're going into a pre-holiday weekend. Be safe, all right, this weekend, and be prepared for those winds. And we'll just talk and pick this up next week. Appreciate all of you. Thank you.